Back at it again, RIC, and a place to be. Rick Saratella here for our 22nd edition of the All Access Football Daily Show here on this Monday morning, September 22nd, 2025. We're all the way live around the universe, broadcasting to over 70 countries around the world, of course, courtesy of allaccessfootball.com. Get down on the action, over 50,000 subscribers, read by all 32 NFL teams. We just posted our Scout Notebook this morning from all the college football action that was. Some names you need to know for the upcoming 2026 NFL draft. A few players on the NFL radar. A few players maybe making themselves visible to those NFL scouts that weren't previously on the radar. Some very intriguing names. We'll get to that later on in the show. We'll talk some college football. But, of course, we got to start off with the NFL action that was a wild, crazy Sunday from start to finish. I mean, there's so much to get into. It was a special weekend of NFL action, especially with the special teams play. A lot of blocked field goals. We had kick returns. You know, special teams was 1/3 of the game. Went a long ways in deciding the outcomes of the NFL Sunday football action. So we'll get into it. And we'll start right here, right now. And, of course, we are broadcasting live from the confines of the Jersey Shore into your living room, wherever you are watching. And right up the road last night was another debacle by the New York Giants, who don't look now, courtesy of our statistician, Angelique. The New York Giants have won just one game dating back to last October. Okay. One win in the last almost calendar year now for these New York Giants. And I said it on yesterday's show on Sunday around the league. The Giants are going to get what they deserve as long as they start Russell Wilson. And you saw it yesterday. I mean, just an atrocious display. He was not grandstanding in the post-game press conference this week telling us how great he was, because he was terrible. And kudos to Russell Wilson for bamboozling the Giants front office staff into believing he is a starting quarterback in the National Football League. That's no longer the case. There's a reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers gave up on him. There's a reason why the Seattle Seahawks moved on. And the Giants here now, because of Brian Daboll's ego, are in danger of just another horrific season. And I did have expectations for the Giants to be a much improved team. So I know I get a lot of hatred on the social media for being a Giants hater. I'm just keeping it real. This is your home for real football talk. And until the Giants can put a product on the field that their fans are not embarrassed of, we're going to keep it real on the All Access Football Daily Show. And, of course, tonight we'll have more on our New and Blue podcast. New York Giants podcast airs every Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, wherever you are watching right now. And we'll have a whole hour show dedicated to the Giants. And that might not even be enough to cover how bad this team was, because Russell Wilson, he's just throwing moonballs. I mean, anybody can do that. I can do that. And why can't Jackson Dart go in there and do that? Because at this stage, you're stunting the development and growth of a quarterback who you traded up for in the first round and identified as your quarterback. And now I start to believe that not only is Brian Daboll not a good head coach, not only is he a good offensive mind, like he came over here hanging his hat on Josh Allen and this offensive genius we were supposed to see. I haven't seen any of that. In fact, you look around at what Indiana Jones is doing in Indianapolis, and like maybe Daboll's the problem. Maybe the Giants don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks. Maybe the Giants don't know how to evaluate if you look at their last recent drafts. But let's focus on this game. Like, you have one playmaker on offense, and you can't even get him the ball. Like Malik Neighbors, you're not targeted until the fourth quarter. And then that last 4-play debacle drive at the end of the game, I mean, Russell Wilson's thrown it in the third row. He's hitting the cross field goal bars. I mean, like it was really, it's hard. The Giants are hard to watch, really. And like, is there something more than meets the eye? Are you now scared to put Jackson Dart in? Do you have no confidence in the offensive line? You want to protect your rookie? Well, guess what? That offensive line has been bad for like the past decade. It's not getting any better. I don't care how much Andrew Thomas plays. He was on a pitch count 25 reps yesterday, but it really doesn't matter because Russell Wilson can't move the ball. He's slow. You know, I don't know if he knows how to read a defense, quite honestly. Like his mobility in Seattle when he was in his prime, he could run around, escape the pass rush, throw on the move. I'm not sure he can do that on a week-to-week basis. I'm not sure he can identify how to read defenses. And these broadcast analysts and media around the country, they all stick up for Russell Wilson, even when he threw the second interception. Well, you can't blame that one on Russell. Well, what, every interception is the wide receiver's fault? Everyone? At some point, Russell Wilson has to be responsible, but there's a lot of blame to go around for this New York Giants team. If you want to hold your hat on to something positive, I guess Cam Scatterbo put him up early with that rushing touchdown, and it was all downhill from there. Scatterbo now probably going to take on a larger role. We'll see what happens with the Tyrone Tracy injury, but Giants fall to 0-3. You know, we always said week 5 against the Saints would be a great landing spot for Jackson Dart, but at this stage, you might as well get him in there and let him work through the rookie mistakes now so he can help you win games later on in the season. This is not a playoff team. The Giants fans didn't even expect this to be a playoff team, but they wanted to be competitive. They wanted to have something to be optimistic about. And bringing in a washed up old Russell Wilson to start was not the answer. And now, again, we talk about egos destroy organizations. Is it an egotistical thing with Daboll because, oh, he promised Russell Wilson the starting job? Is it an egotistical organizational decision because, oh, we paid him $22 million guaranteed? Sometimes you got to cut your losses and move on. And if there is a higher directive coming down the wire, like if Daboll's not allowed to start his guy, why is he even the coach? If he's not allowed to start his guy, why doesn't he want to start Jackson Dart? That's what I want to know. He looked pretty damn good in preseason. What's the problem? Is he not prepared? Does he not study? You're scared of the offensive line. You know, I know there was a story last week circulating with Eli Manning hitting him up. Hey, whatever you need, kid, let me know. Jackson Dart seeking out advice from the 2-time Super Bowl champion, not about the game, no. Hey, Eli, can you get me reservations over at the steakhouse? Eli said, that's not part of the deal, young man. So maybe Jackson Dart, not mature enough. Now, he did get in there, handed the ball off a little bit, but it's just time. The time is now to start Jackson Dart, and anything less would be uncivilized. So we start off with the New York Giants. They fall 22-9 to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs get off the snide. They're now 1-2. How about Tyreek Thornton now stepping up? KC down a lot of receivers. Thornton, the former second-round pick in New England, didn't pan out there. But the Chiefs, they'll take a flyer on guys. And if you got speed, you can have a role in this Chiefs offense. We saw that yesterday, and the Giants just putting up 9 points in defeat. All right, I mentioned Indiana Jones. The Colts, one of 6 teams who are now 3-0. And I'll tell you what, the Colts are riding high. They're playing complete football. They win 41-20 over the Tennessee Titans. This was never really a game. Colts defense stepping up, wide receivers stepping up, Tyler Warren playing good football. The J train is rolling. Daniel Jones is not committing turnovers. He's playing smart football. And again, you wonder, after spending a year in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell, now with Shane Steichen, who is a great offensive mind, what Brian Daboll was supposed to be, look at what a difference coaching makes. Coaching matters. And you look no further than the situation in Jersey and the situation in Indiana. Indiana Jones, man, he's right up there now. You want to give out MVP awards through the first 3 weeks of the season, Daniel Jones has got to be in the conversation, right? So Tennessee, Look, they're going to take their lumps this year. I think it's a rebuilding year for Tennessee, obviously, with Cam Ward. But Calvin Ridley, another drop this week. I was wrong on Calvin Ridley. I thought he was in for a big year. I saw him down in preseason. His route running was amongst the elite of anything I've ever seen. But it doesn't matter if you can't catch the ball. Calvin Ridley's struggling to do that right now for the Tennessee Titans, still searching for their first win. Again, the Colts win 41-20 there. All right, Eagles also remain undefeated. What a victory for Philadelphia. And, just when you thought the Rams were going to pull it out, they were winning all game, up 26-7 at one point. And then back come the Eagles storming back. It was the A.J. Brown show in the fourth quarter. And this dude is just a man-child, right? He's a man amongst boys. The stiff arm, the yards after catch, I'll barrel you over, run you over, drag you to the end zone, whatever it takes. That A.J. Brown, this guy is a unique talent. And, when they won the Super Bowl, he made some comments that really stood out to me that I've never really heard anybody say. And it was, I think, right after the parade. And, they were talking to A.J. Brown, and he said, winning the Super Bowl was a little bit of a disappointment. He said it was short-lived in terms of the excitement and the celebration. He said, I felt good for about 2 days, but he goes, individual accomplishments actually mean more to me. He's like, I get off on that more than I do winning the Super Bowl. So, hey, little different spin, little different take, but it lends you inside the mind of how A.J. Brown's mind works and clicks. And when he gets the ball, man, he maximizes every opportunity. He doesn't get talked about as the best wide receiver in the NFL, I think, because the Eagles, they do a phenomenal job of game planning. This is a different identity every week on a week-to-week basis. They switch up the game plan. And it's not always about the passing game, as we saw the first 2 weeks. Now, yesterday, Hurts gets his first 2 passing touchdowns, but they spray the ball around. Devonta Smith is also a 1,000-yard receiver. Of course, Saquon had 2,000 rushing last year. So A.J. Brown, I don't think gets the respect that he deserves in terms of being a premier wide receiver. But, I mean, you want to give me Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase? I don't know. Pound for pound, I might take A.J. Brown. And you saw why there in that fourth quarter. Now, Jordan Davis making big plays this year. He's in great shape. You saw him with the game-winning blocked field goal there at the end, picking it up, running for a touchdown. Post-game interview said, I haven't run that fast since my 40-yard dash time at the combine. But Jordan Davis has stepped up in a big way. We mentioned it on Sunday's show. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, who also had a blocked kick. They are the heart and soul of this Eagles defense, which is really, really tough. And Stafford, he passed Matt Ryan for 9th all-time in this one with his 381st touchdown pass. But Rams come out on the losing end, 33-26, just like they did in the NFC divisional matchup last year that also went down to the wire. And I have a feeling this could be the NFC Championship preview. We mentioned on yesterday's show, these were like 2 of the top teams in the NFC, the Rams and Eagles that were. I put Tampa Bay in that category as well, even though they're all banged up. So let's talk about the Bucs because, again, they're also 3-0, and Baker Mayfield working that Mayfield magic for the 3rd consecutive week, game-winning drive. Aaron Glenn thought he had a win. He was all celebrating and excited on the sideline, but you left too much time on the clock for Baker. And, this has been a banged-up team, down their starting offensive tackles, down an offensive lineman, down Chris Godwin, down Kalijah Kancey. Mike Evans leaves the game injured. And Baker Mayfield says, no problem. Jump along for the ride, everybody. Emeka Egbuka shows up for a 3rd consecutive week, 6 catches, 85 yards. He is the front runner for your NFL Rookie of the Year. I mentioned the blocked field goal there by Will McDonald, the scoop and score. So many blocked field goals, kick returns, special teams, playing a big part of this NFL Week 3. And you saw Baker Mayfield post-game asked about how good this game feels. He said it feels great. He said this game was personal. Guys like Hassan Reddick, Todd Bowles used to play for the Jets. Reddick had a big tackle for loss in that game. But he goes, it really felt good, especially since that defensive coordinator over there on the other side was the one who cut me in Carolina. Speaking of you, Stephen Wilkes. Baker, man, with the daggers, in-game, post-game, the Bucs 3-0. I'm buying what the Bucs are selling. I don't care about the injuries. They're going to continue to get healthy. They're going to have some key players out for the season. But at the end of the day, the Buccaneers are right up there with the Eagles and the Rams. Those are the cream of the crop in terms of the NFC. But don't look now. Your San Francisco 49ers, they're out to a 3-0 start. They survived with Mac Jones holding on to dear life against the Arizona Cardinals. They win 16-15. Ricky Pearsall with his first career 100-yard receiving day for those 49ers. And we talked about Brock Purdy, who was questionable leading up to the game. We got confirmation Sunday morning that he was not going to play, but it appears that Purdy will be back for week 4, which is great news for San Francisco as they hold on and win 2 games with Mac Jones as the starting quarterback. We talk about how much coaching matters. We talked about how the Patriots stopped coaching Mac Jones. We talked about how Bill Belichick even stopped speaking to or communicating to his starting quarterback. And now he gets with Kyle Shanahan, a true quarterback whisperer who knows how to implement a game plan and build around the quarterback skill sets. And man, Mac Jones, could he get another opportunity as a starting quarterback come the offseason? Could there be a team that views Mac Jones as a potential stopgap solution? Could happen. So the 49ers keep it undefeated. Also 3-0 are your LA Chargers in the AFC. And again, a team that's banged up. Rashawn Slater out for the year. Khalil Mack now is going to miss some time. But Ladd McConkey, questionable. He plays. The Chargers now, the Superchargers, 3-0, sitting atop the AFC West. They are the cream of the crop of that division. All 3 of their victories coming over divisional foes. And they beat Kansas City in week 1. They beat the Broncos here in week 3, 23-20. Bo Nix, some missed opportunities there for Denver. Justin Herbert playing very, very good. And the Chargers now, they will await the fate of Najee Harris, who leaves the game with an Achilles injury. He's going to undergo further testing today. We'll see how much that impacts the Chargers. Of course, they did draft Omarion Hampton, the rookie out of North Carolina, in the first round there. So the Chargers moved to 3-0. And the other team in the AFC who is also 3-0, of course, are the Buffalo Bills, who beat the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. So Bills, Chargers, 3-0 in the AFC. Of course, Buffalo overcoming the Ravens there in a wild week 1 shootout. And the Ravens in a pretty good one tonight on Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions. We'll preview that one at the end of the show. All right. So those are your main headlines from the NFL week 1. Still got a ways to go here. We're just getting started on the All Access Football Daily Show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the other shenanigans that occurred from NFL week 3. We'll also dive into the college football landscape, talk a little NFL draft. That's what we do here all year round at All Access Football. It's your home for real football talk, your home for year-round coverage and everything pigskin. So buckle up, hunker down, and we'll see you right after the commercial break. Hey, RIC and a place to be. Rick Saratella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home if you enter our promo code RIC
VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Rick Saratella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.
All right, back at it again. RIC in the place to be. Rick Saratella here for this 22nd edition of the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live each and every day of the week, 7 days a week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. For those of you who don't know, now you do know. You're home for real football talk. We hope you're enjoying the show. Please like, share, subscribe if you're along for the ride over the next hour of power. We got the A block in the books. Top NFL headlines down. Later on in the show, we'll talk some college football, NFL draft, and we're just heating up in our 4th week of programming here on the All Access Football Daily Show. In fact, tomorrow, we've got a very special guest, Commissioner Mike Kelly, good friend of the show, of the Continental Football League. We're all revved up, riled up, ready to go to hear about it, be about it. That's going to kick off in the summer of 2026. So Mike Kelly, the commissioner, former Philadelphia Eagle front office executive, Cleveland Browns, head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and much more will join us on the program on Tuesday. Wednesday, each and every Wednesday, we got Pro Football Hall of Fame voter Howard Balzer joins us to break down the NFL action. 50 years of covering the league. Of course, Sirius XM Radio, Cards Wire. We'll talk about the Thursday night preview with the Cardinals in action with Howard on Wednesday. And then Thursday, our good friend Chad Ryder from NFL.com is going to come and write us a new script on Thursday. He's going to join the show. Of course, NFL draft analyst, does a lot of great things over at NFL.com, working under the legendary Gil Brandt. So always a pleasure and a joy when we can pop on Chad Ryder here on the show. Of course, Football Friday affair. And then Saturday is our college football pregame show with the NFL Draft Slant every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Longtime scout Russ Landy, former NFL, XFL, CFL scout, joins me for the College Football NFL Draft Watch show. And then Sunday, took a little bit of a bath with our picks. We'll get to them later on in the show with our Monday Night Football predictions. But Sunday is the NFL Around the League Pick'em, where I drink about 2 gallons of coffee before the show and we're bouncing off the walls. So just a sneak preview of our 4th week of programming here on the All Access Football Daily Show, our 22nd episode here on Monday, September 22nd. And we talked about there's 6 unbeaten teams still standing after week 3, just 6 of the 32 teams remaining undefeated. We talked about that in the A block. We talked about Moonball, Russell Wilson, and his throwing woes. And we'll have more tonight on the New and Blue New York Giants podcast. That's tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, wherever you are viewing right now. And smash that like button. We appreciate all the love and support. And we love the feedback and comments, something we have not been able to get going here. But on our previous shows, the Football Playbook, State of Football, Draft Bible Radio, we've always had a very lively chat room. So if you're there listening, you got a comment, question, concern, We have been getting a lot of comments on the YouTube channel, so I do appreciate that. And I promise we're going to highlight those comments maybe when we have some downtime. I don't know when we have some downtime time on the show. It's just always flying by, but some of the comments are hilarious. And I got thick skin, guys. So lay it on me. I love it. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. We appreciate all the comments there. So, by the way, we're isolating all of our interviews now on the YouTube channel, and you can catch a lot of reels from the show. If you missed the show and you want to catch some highlights, we got that going on as well. All right, we got highlights from the National Football League. Carolina 30-0 over Atlanta. This one caught me off guard. I did not see this one coming. I don't think the Falcons saw this one coming. I gave them all kinds of props and kudos on yesterday's show, and they come and lay a goose egg. Wow, is that the first team that was shut out this season? It's the first one I can recall, but certainly the most impressive victory of the Dave Canales era by far. Bryce Young played extremely well here. He actually faced a blitz 63% on his dropbacks. The Falcons were throwing the kitchen sink at him, and he passed the test. He aced the test, as a matter of fact. And someone who failed the test is Falcons kicker John Parker Romo. Like, what are we doing here with the kicking game in Atlanta? They cut Pro Bowler Young Ho Koo last week, and they bring in John Parker Romo this week. Not only did they sign him to a 2-year contract. So they were pretty confident in that John Parker Romo, but he's shanking balls. The Atlanta team just had an off week. I do expect them to be very competitive and around 500. I see them as an 8-9, 9-8 type of team. Maybe they're not ready to take that next step like I thought they were. This is a team they should have beaten. Divisional game, got to have these. And Atlanta just really disappointing here in week 3. We'll see how they bounce back in week 4. All right, Cleveland 13-10 over Green Bay. That Cleveland defense is pretty good, isn't it? Now, Green Bay's been banged up, but the Browns certainly had some issues for Jordan Love and company there. Cleveland overcoming a 10-point deficit in the final 4 minutes of the game. So kudos to this Browns team who's been down. They've been out. They've been halfway buried with dirt on their grave. And you saw Joe Flacco all fired up after the game. And Quinshawn Judkins, we mentioned him making his first career start, 18 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown. So hopefully Cleveland can now build off of this momentum. That's an impressive victory. A lot of people had the Packers pegged as the top team in the NFC. They get kicked down a couple notches there in their loss against Cleveland in a low-scoring affair, 13-10. Cleveland on top of Green Bay. All right, we talked about Jacksonville. I like how they're building this program. I like what James Gladstone is doing down there in Jacksonville. I think he took some risks in the offseason, and they're paying out, most notably Travis Hunter. We talked about the Eagles game-to-game game plan. Well, how about the game-to-game identity of Travis Hunter? I love it. You know, this week he played more defensive snaps for the first time, 41 on the defensive side, 35 on the offensive side. And Jacksonville, you know, still having some issues, a lot of dropped passes from big-time wide receivers around the league. Brian Thomas being one of the biggest culprits. You saw it show up again there in the fourth quarter. Now, he did make a big 46-yard catch on the Jaguars' game-winning drive, but you got to start wondering, like, Brian Thomas, what's up, dude? Get that man some stickum. Get him some Freddie Biletnikoff consultation. 119 total yards of offense for the Houston Texans. That's going to be unacceptable. And CJ Stroud now is kind of hitting a detour. He has not passed for 250 yards. You got to go all the way back to week 11 of the 2024 season since Stroud has had a 250-yard passing day. So Houston unable to get it going there against Jacksonville. The Jaguars coming out again 17-10. All right, the Vikings. This is another one that surprised me because it was almost over before it started. Vikings went up big. They rout the Bengals 48-10. What a day for Isaiah Rodgers. I mean, he had a day for the ages. Maybe the game of the year. I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to have a more impactful game than Isaiah Rodgers' week 3 performance here. I mean, he had an 87-yard interception, a 66-yard scoop and score, 2 forced fumbles. Isaiah Rodgers and Vikings They have a very good defense. You saw Van Ginkel making plays. Harrison Smith is there. Cam Bynum. I mean, this is a loaded Minnesota team. And why would I doubt Kevin O'Connell? I actually doubted Kevin O'Connell on yesterday's show. What was I thinking, Rick? Come on, get with the program. Like Carson Wentz, no problem. 6-team in 6th year, no problem. I mean, maybe the Vikings, it doesn't matter what quarterback they seem to plug in there. It just seems to work all of the time under O'Connell's leadership. And Wentz, it was impressive, man. In fact, 60% of his passes, he got rid of the ball in under 2.5 seconds. That's pretty good. 60% of the time, 2.5 seconds, the ball is out of his hands. So Wentz showing some maturity, showing some quick decision making. And, if you want to compare that to what J.J. McCarthy was doing, McCarthy only getting off the ball in under 2.5 seconds on 17% of his pass attempts compared to Carson Wentz yesterday, 60%. So signs of positivity there in Minnesota. All right. Jordan Mason with the big game, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Chase Brown, 10 carries for 3 yards, averaging 0.3 yards per carry. That's just not going to get it done. You can pin the blame on Jake Browning because he was a turnover machine as well. But Cincinnati here, you have to wonder, after starting 2-0 and seeing that performance by Jake Browning, will they pursue another quarterback such as a Kirk Cousins or a Jameis Winston? I guess that's who you're really looking at here if you want to just try to keep the team afloat and alive and hold on hope for Joe Burrow to come back. But I think it might be a long season now for Cincinnati after a promising start. We shall see. Never want to put too much stock and emphasis in one game, but it's hard to see after yesterday's performance that this is going to be a playoff team with Jake Browning steering the ship. So Minnesota, big time victory, 48-10. I won't doubt Kevin O'Connell again. Carson Wentz, I don't know. We'll see as the games get bigger if I can really get behind the Carson Wentz mobile in Minnesota. But we saw it last year with Sam Darnold. Maybe Carson Wentz can resurrect his career. And we talked about J.J. McCarthy now with the Vikings coming up back-to-back games, one in Dublin, one in London. J.J. McCarthy will probably stay behind as he rehabs from his ankle injury. He's expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks at least. So we'll continue to monitor that. All right. Up in New England, Pittsburgh, a typical Northeast game, smash mouth football when the Steelers and Patriots get together. Steelers coming out on top 21-14. The big news here, Aaron Rodgers passing Brett Favre, number 4 all time now with 510 touchdown passes there. You saw the fade to DK Metcalf there on the sideline of the end zone. Calvin Anderson, is it? Had a touchdown as well. So he now sits behind Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. Brady with 649 touchdown passes, Brees with 571, and Peyton Manning at 539. Rodgers 19 behind Peyton Manning. Might be a long shot for him to catch him, but you never know. He did have 4 touchdowns in that week 1 affair. We had Bo Marchant on the Football Friday show last week who covers the Steelers beat. And, Jabril Peppers getting in on his former team real quickly there. Just a couple weeks ago, he was a member of the Patriots, now a member of the Steelers. He comes in, makes an impact there with that strip fumble on Antonio Gibson. And, the Patriots, we talked about it, they're unable to get that run game going. I think Ramondre Stevenson also had a fumble in that affair. So Pittsburgh gets back on the winning side of things, and New England not off to the ideal start that they had expected. And we'll see how those two teams go. It looks like they're heading in opposite directions for the 2025 season. All right, a couple other NFL games to get to here. Washington, 41. Raiders, 24. We had this one, at least. Marcus Mariota playing against his former team. And, man, he really took it out on his own head coach, man. That hit on Danny Quinn, the pride of Morristown, New Jersey. What a ferocious hit of the head. And I wasn't so worried about the bloody nose That's not what bothered me. Everybody was focused on the bloody nose. Did you see the way he hit the back of his head on the concrete there? Maron. That, I mean, that hurt through the monitor. And if Dan Quinn doesn't have a concussion, my oh my, we'll call him Popeye, that Morristown, New Jersey toughness. He didn't want to be helped. He didn't want to go in the tent. He didn't even want to wipe the blood from his face. He just wanted to go straight to the podium post game and talk about it. And we're going to be about it here on the All Access Football Daily Show every day, keeping it real. Ashton Genty, now we talked about it. 6th overall selection. Questions about running through the MAC defenses. He struggled against Penn State in the college football playoffs. He has struggled here now through 3 weeks of the NFL season. In fact, he has now even lost his third down duties because he's such a liability in the passing game. He's allergic to contact. He's scared to put a body on anybody. So now Dylan Lawbey, somebody who I scouted out of New Hampshire, really one of the emotional leaders of this Raiders team. You saw him in the week 1 victory. Maybe you didn't. He was the one leading that post-game locker room chants, and he's a special team standout, now getting a chance to make a name for himself on third downs. That Dylan Lawbey, like to see that if you want a little bit of encouragement from the Raiders. Loss to Washington, again, 41-24. The Commanders took care of business rather easily there, as did the Seattle Seahawks, which they should have against the New Orleans Saints. Seattle winning this one 44-13. And rookie Tyler Shuck coming in of relief there for Spencer Rattler at the end of the game for the Saints. So we'll see if Shuck gets to start this week. Who knows? Week 5, you could see Tyler Shuck versus Jackson Dart in the much anticipated game between the Giants and Saints in week 5. But Sam Darnold looks like he's doing pretty good there in Seattle, and him and Jackson Smith and Jigba have been clicking. Jackson Smith and Jigba came down with an illness right before this one, but did not seem to hinder him at all as he just dominated this game. And Torrey Horton, the rookie out of Colorado State, with the big 95-yard punt return. We mentioned special teams was a big factor in NFL Week 3. And Horton is best known for his game 2 years ago as a junior, I believe, against Travis Hunter. He just lit him up for over 200 receiving yards, really the only wide receiver in college football that actually got the best of Travis Hunter during his time there in Colorado. So who knows, maybe the Torrey Horton punt return can now lead to more playing time at wide receiver on the field. That's usually how these things go, but certainly a name you need to know as we move forward here in this young NFL season. All right, one more. Chicago 31, Dallas 14. Something, again, I did not see coming. I was not a big fan of the Chicago Bears coming into the season. You saw the Lions put up a 50 burger on them. And, you know, hey, Ben Johnson, was there anybody more fired up, by the way, than Ben Johnson in the locker room? Hey, this guy, he's going to wear his emotion on his sleeve. And when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. But this week it was good. And, you know, it was a little bit of a concern to see CD Lamb, I think, with an ankle injury, depart the game early. He never returned back. Did not get an update on what his latest injury status is going to be, but it's certainly worth noting there moving forward. George Pickens making some plays in his absence, just not enough for Dallas to be able to get it done. Now, Caleb Williams, all right, maybe things will work out after all. I think he's quieted the Boo Birds in terms of the Tyson Bagent call. Caleb Williams, in fact, connecting beautifully with Luther Burden throughout the game, who I thought was vastly underrated coming out of Missouri. Big play slot weapon. That 65-yard touchdown pass by Caleb Williams to Luther Burden was the furthest completion of the NFL season in terms of balls that traveled through the air distance-wise. A 65-yard touchdown. It actually traveled 61.2 yards in the air before it came down there for Luther Burden. And Rome Odunze had a rear drop in this one, but Chicago, they get off the snide with their first victory. And Tyreek Stevenson stepped up in a big way. I think he deserves a helmet sticker for the way he played and performed, because Chicago was down 3 cornerbacks in this one. So I really thought CD Lamb and George Pickens would be able to take advantage of that. But Dallas now falls to 31-14. Of course, Jadeveon Clowney making his Cowboys debut there. So, all right, we'll get into some Monday Night Football action later on in the show. We'll have a prediction for you, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to get into some college football landscape, some NFL draft talk. So buckle up, hunker down. It's the All Access Football Daily Show, your home for real football talk, live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, RIC and a place to be. Rick Saratella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Rick Saratella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.
All right, we're back at it again. RIC and a place to be. Rick Saratella here on the All Access Football Daily Show, live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. And while you're here, we have a lot of ways you can support the program. If you're interested, you can go over to allaccessfootball.com. Get down on the All Access Football Annual Pass. That includes the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, which is published in April, over 500 scouting reports. We've also got the stars feature now. If you're watching on Facebook, you can add some stars. On YouTube, I believe we have some subscriptions. I'm still trying to figure out how it all works myself, but we are trying to get ourselves a little super producer in the studio here. So please feel free to support the show. We need all the support you can give us. It's powered by you, the fans, of course, allaccessfootball.com. Over 50,000 subscribers from 70 countries around the world and read by all 32 NFL teams. We just posted the Scout Notebook this morning. So if you like that kind of stuff, you'll love All Access Football. You will love the NFL Draft Bible, and we appreciate your support. All right. Before we switch gears, shout out, by the way, to Sea-Hulk on the Twitterverse. We appreciate the follow. Says, I missed the salt life, Rick. Hey, man, I'm soaking it in for you. I'm fresh off the beach. Got the early morning workout in. It's almost a perfect beach day. It's a 9.9 here at the Jersey Shore, and one of the last few beach days that we'll probably get as we slide into the first day of fall here on this September 22nd, 2025. Our 22nd episode, by the way, on the All Access Football Daily Show. One last note from the NFL weekend before we get into the college football side. I did see Bill Parcells, who's like 83 years old now. I can't believe time flies. He, along with Julian Edelman, were inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame on Saturday. They had a little press conference for that. And Bobby Greer, former GM of the Patriots, passed away as well over this weekend. Front office executive, 3 NFL teams, over 7 decades. He has passed away. Of course, his son, Chris Greer, the GM over at Miami Dolphins. So condolences to the Greer family here. And that comes courtesy of Neil Stratton, good friend of the show, of InsideTheLeague.com, of course, co-host of Scouting the League here on the All Access Football Network. We also have QB Huddle, which comes out tomorrow on Tuesdays. Of course, New and Blue, New York Giants podcast tonight, 7 p.m. live each and every Monday. Wherever you're watching right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, smash that like button. Let's get the algorithms up. All right. More comments, please. All right. College football landscape. Ohio State remains number 1 in the nation. They received 52 of the first place votes. But how about the Miami Hurricanes now? Hot to trot, right up their tail. Hurricanes 4-0, looking very good behind Carson Beck, who is now the front runner for that Heisman Trophy. Penn State, they take care of business once again. They're sitting at 3-0. They got 5 first place votes. Miami got 7 first place votes. And we had Russ Landy on Saturday's show, who, said a lot of NFL scouts feeling like Drew Allar could eventually emerge as this number 1 quarterback in this year's NFL draft class. And we talked about Garrett Nussmeier, LSU. They're ranked 4th in the nation. He's going to shut it down during the bye week in 2 weeks because of too much throwing. He's got a torso injury. He's got a patellar knee injury. And you wonder, not the biggest quarterback, how much of a concern the durability issue will be moving to the next level. We've seen Joe Burrow now miss significant time in 3 of his 6 seasons. Nussmeier is even smaller, so we'll see how much that impacts him. All right, Lenore Sellers also did not play well coming off that vicious head injury. His draft stock is also kind of tumbled a little bit. But how about Fernando Mendoza? And I called it. I mean, I took a beat down in my NFL picks this week. We'll get to that in a minute. But I did have the Indiana Hoosiers to blow the hinges off the door of those Illinois Illini. And I felt like the rankings were mismatched. I thought Indiana should have been 9 and Illinois should have been 19. And Indiana's still not getting – Indiana's been in my top 10 since the preseason. You can catch the power rankings every Wednesday over on the website. But still no respect. 4-0, smashes Illinois, who was ranked number 9, and Indiana just getting no respect in the poll. They're ranked number 11 now, sitting there in the AP rankings. But these polls, we talked about it. You can't put too much stock in them, because once the College Football Playoff Committee unveils their poll, that's what really counts. And I'd have a hard time believing that Indiana wouldn't be in the college football playoff equation. Okay. Oregon, another team kind of flying under the radar, 4-0. Dante Moore, I talked about, you can get tremendous odds on his Heisman Trophy candidacy. And the Heisman Trophy race is pretty wide open. So one player that we did discuss in the scouting notebook this morning over on the website is Justice Haynes. And, that was a really good game, fun game to watch there between Michigan and Nebraska, 2 potential first-round signal callers in maybe the 2027 or 2028 NFL draft. But you saw Bryce Underwood, the fab freshman there from Michigan, and baby Mahomes, Dylan Raiola, who's taken a lot of heat now online with his mannerisms, his throwing motion, his haircut, how he dresses. I mean, he's a Patrick Mahomes wannabe. And hey, I mean, listen, this is what happens now. You have a whole culture of kids growing up idolizing Patrick Mahomes. But, whether or not he's taking it too far, I'll let you guys decide that. But, man, if you pull up some of these videos floating around on social media, Dylan Raiola is the baby Mahomes from almost everything. I mean, his whole style of play, the arm motions, the haircut, the sunglasses. I don't know. Maybe they're long lost cousins, but it is a little bit funny to see. Uh, you know, let's see. Anybody else top 25 wise that we want to talk about? Not really. Moving over to the draft watch, we have a lot of good prospects. I mentioned Justice Haynes, and he's just a compact runner. He's patient. He's got excellent vision. He's strong, lower body, breaks tackles, burst, vision. I mean, he's the whole package. He's the real deal. I wouldn't be shocked now, if he winds up as the number one running back in this year's draft class, because Jeremiah Love really hasn't gotten it going. Uh, Over in Penn State, big things were expected of Nicholas Singleton, but Katron Allen has actually, I thought, outplayed him. And I had Allen rated higher than Singleton, but all the scouts, the grades came in during the spring. Singleton was rated very high. I think they got that one wrong. But Justice Haynes, don't look now. He's now exceeded the 100-yard barrier now in all 4 of his games, has at least 1 touchdown in all 4 of his games. And he had a big, big day there against Nebraska. Multiple 50-plus yard runs this season. Had a 75-yard touchdown scamper. Just a really good-looking back. And I mentioned in the article, I have to view him as a higher-rated prospect than Blake Corum now, who was selected in the 3rd round of the 2024 NFL draft by the Rams. One other player I want to talk about is Caleb Lomu, because everybody talks about Spencer Fatu, the right tackle there at Utah. And boy, oh boy, we should mention Texas Tech, who pummeled the Utes with their backup quarterback. Baron Martin goes down. We'll await his injury status. But Spencer Fatu is getting all the love and attention, but it's this redshirt sophomore left tackle, Caleb Lomu, who actually held his own yesterday. He shut down David Bailey, the talented pass rusher there who transferred over from Stanford to Texas Tech. And Bailey did register a sack against Fano, but Lomu shut him down. And, his athleticism, his size at 6'6", 304, he's got room to grow in that gargantuous frame. And you have to start to wonder now if Lomu is going to be maybe viewed as a higher rated prospect. If not, this Utah offensive line could produce 2 offensive tackles in the 1st round. And then one other guy that I'm going to sneak in here before our Monday Night Football prediction, Jacob Rodriguez. Not on the Blesto, not on the National, flying under the radar, Texas Tech linebacker. He's actually a converted quarterback, and he was nominated for the preseason Defensive Player of the Year for the Big 12, a team captain, former quarterback, very smart, obviously, tremendous athleticism. He can shadow tight ends. He even lined up on some slot receivers this past weekend, showing his versatility. So you talk about character, you talk about versatility, athleticism. Now, he's only 6 foot and 4/8 inches, 232 pounds. Speed might be an issue, but Jacob Rodriguez at least is going to make NFL decision makers ponder his draft stock, redshirt senior come April. So, all right, a couple of news and notes around the college football landscape. We'll get more into NFL draft talk and college football tomorrow. We'll also talk about the CFL. They had a big weekend as well. And a matter of fact, CFL has a major announcement today at 1 p.m. Eastern. A lot of people speculating that they could do away with 3-down football and make it a more Americanized game, which I think would be a mistake. I enjoyed a 3-down product. I think the CFL is a faster paced game than the NFL, and it's because of the 3-down football. So I'd hate to see them make drastic changes, but they have a new commissioner. Press conference is scheduled for 1 p.m. We'll talk more about that on tomorrow's show with our guest, Mike Kelly, who, of course, was the head coach for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, longtime CFL coach, front office personnel with the Browns and Eagles. He is now the commissioner of the Continental Football League. We'll have him on Tuesday. Howard Balzer, longtime NFL insider, on Wednesday, and Chad Ryder from NFL.com on Thursday. Now, we do have a Monday Night Football game, and I told you I took a bath in my pick'em yesterday's show. 21-11 against the spread through the first 2 weeks. Not so good. Not so fast, my friend, yesterday. 6-9 in the pick'em predictions against the spread. So 27-20 now. Still respectable. overall, but we're going to try to get a W on the board for you here. And we've got a good one, don't we? The Detroit Lions coming off that 50 burger against the Bears last week, 1-1 at the Baltimore Ravens, who smashed the Cleveland Browns 41-17. We just talked about how good that Browns defense was. Well, Baltimore made Swiss cheese of them a week ago. So it's going to be a high-scoring affair, I think. Obviously, you got Lamar Jackson, the playmaker quarterback, against Jared Goff, who's more of a pocket passer. And Goff had 334 yards and 5 touchdowns, no interceptions so far here through week. Yeah. Okay. Goff has got 6 touchdowns, 1 interception on the season. Lamar Jackson, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions on the season. And so both teams have great ground games. Both teams have competent defenses. This is a coin toss affair. And you know what? I'm going to pull up the point spread here. I'm sure it's a close one. We will need that to make our prediction, won't we? So as I pull that up, I'm going to tell you that Baltimore, wow, is favored by 4.5 points, 53.5 over under. I think it goes over, and I am going to go with the upset alert here. I think the Detroit Lions, I got a feeling that Detroit is going to win this one. Little birdie told me so. So I'll gladly take the 4.5. Could be a close affair. Give me the Lions, though, to win this one. I'm going to go 31-27 and another prime time, late night, close matchup. Give us the Lions tonight on the road in Baltimore to come out with the unexpected victory. Hopefully we can get a W for you and get a little bit more respectable with our NFL pick'ems. But again, 27-20 against the spread. We're going to take the Lions plus the 4.5, and don't be surprised if they win this game outright. Okay. Well, we got a lot in, didn't we? In this hour of power, it always flies by on the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live each and every day, 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. Again, tomorrow we'll come back. We'll talk more college football. We'll talk more NFL draft. I'm sure we'll have some injury updates from the NFL universe and, CFL action. We'll sneak that in there with the commish, Mike Kelly. So make sure you circle back for tomorrow's show. In the meantime, if you're just tuning in or you want to get caught up on everything that occurred in the weekend that was from the football world in terms of NFL, college football, we snuck in some NFL draft talk. You can go back and watch this show in its entirety. Of course, we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So we appreciate any likes, shares, subscribes. Show you boys some love and smash that like button. And we'll be back tomorrow with another jam-packed hour of power. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Rick Saratella and All Access Football on the September 22nd, 2025. It was our 22nd episode, and we'll be back tomorrow for number 23. Don Mattingly.
Hey, RIC and a place to be. Rick Saratella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day Circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic, get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So Follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off. Rain, sleet, hail, snow, the show must go on. For Rick Saratella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.